Volkswagen was hiding an illegal secret.
How do you think the Volkswagen executives are thinking about your report right now?
Probably hoping that we never did the study.
But this was a couple of software engineers who put this in.
Lies, cheat, fraud, deception, and much more.
So let's be clear about this. Our company was dishonest with the EPA and the California Air Resources Board, and with all of you. And in my German words, we have totally screwed up.
All this and more tonight in Focus.
But this was a couple of software engineers who put this in for whatever reasons.
And I want to tell you, Mr. Horn, I don't buy it.
VW is trying to get the United States of America to believe these are a couple of rogue engineers. I categorically reject that.
Volkswagen needs to stand up and say, okay, we understand, we will buy your car back.
Volkswagen was hiding an illegal secret inside their clean diesel cars.
You swear the testimony you're about to give is the truth, the whole truth, and nothing but the truth. You are now under oath and subject to the penalties set forth in Title 18, Section 1001 of the United States Code.
This is the story of how and why Volkswagen smartly cheated the U.S. Environmental Protection Agency and won the 2009 Clean Diesel Car of the Year awards.
And now, I'm pleased to announce that Green Car Journal's 2009 Green Car of the Year is Volkswagen's 2009 Jetta TDI.
This was undoubtedly the most expensive fraud in the history of the automobile industry, with Volkswagen paying over $30 billion in fines and damages. The discovery completely tarnished Volkswagen's image as a leader in the industry, and huge fines threatened its survival.
We actually revoked those awards. We rescinded the awards for Volkswagen and Audi, and they agreed that they needed to return them.
In this documentary, we are going on a journey to find out how and why Volkswagen smartly cheated the U.S. Environmental Protection Agency. So, please join me. Let's take on the journey together.
You swear the testimony you're about to give.
Okay, so are many states. In fact, Texas just affects
the air that people breathe.
completely. These are topics that are actually dangerous.
Knowing
What's been doped, the Dieselgate or Diesel dope, all began in September of 2015 when the U.S. Environmental Protection Agency or the EPA found that many Volkswagen cars being sold in America had a cheat device or a software installed in their diesel-powered cars that could detect when the cars were being tested, thus changing the performance accordingly to meet environmental regulatory standards set by the EPA.
To understand this scandal, you have to start here. Students Mark Besch and Arvind Thiruvengadam and their professors Greg Thompson and Dan Cader spend a lot of time looking into exhaust pipes. They hardly appear to be the types who'd slay a corporate giant, but they've become the Davids who've taken on Goliath.
Morning, George. Federal criminal prosecutors are looking at this case.
This problem rapidly spread like wildfires to other parts of the world, like the United Kingdom, Italy, France, South Korea, Canada, and of course Germany also opened investigations against their home-based car giant, Volkswagen. Meanwhile, in some parts of the world, politicians, regulators, and environmental groups began questioning the legitimacy of Volkswagen's emission testing.
You swear the testimony you're about to give is the truth, the whole truth, and nothing but the truth. You are now under oath and subject to the penalties set forth in Title 18, Section 1001 of the United States Code. You may now give a 5-minute summary of your written statement.
My name is Michael Horn, and I'm President and CEO of Volkswagen Group of America, a subsidiary of Volkswagen AG headquartered in Germany, in Wolfsburg.
The vehicle's real-world nitrogen oxide emissions were 40 times higher than U.S. environmental standards permitted. You see, the problem here is that the environmental and health effects of nitrogen oxides are fatal, and high levels of nitrogen dioxide can cause damage to the human respiratory tract, swelling of tissues in the esophagus and upper respiratory tract, reduced oxidation of body tissues, buildup of fluids in the lungs, respiratory infections, and asthma.
It's not just some technical engineering problem. This directly affects the air that people breathe. These are toxic substances.
This was undoubtedly the most expensive fraud in the history of the automobile industry, with Volkswagen paying over $30 billion in fines and damages. The discovery completely tarnished Volkswagen's image as a leader in the industry, and huge fines threaten its survival.
So what do they face here now, do you think? What is the potential for them?
Jail time. If they're found to have actually engaged knowingly in circumventing regulations of the United States, it's a crime.
With many failed attempts to cover up their tarnished image, their CEO, Martin Winterkorn, later resigned, followed by Christian Klinger, a management board member and head of sales and marketing, although Volkswagen said his departure was part of a long-term planned structural changes and was not related to the scandal.
The same CEO who set the marker that we're going to be #1 and we're going to triple our sales in the United States, all these goals that he's staking his reputation on, and nothing is more important to him than his reputation, are at risk if this technology doesn't work for the emissions. Driving enjoyment.
It all began in 2009 when Volkswagen started massively advertising its new clean diesel cars, and up till today, Volkswagen was forced to suspend sales of their diesel cars as studies showed that they gave off high quantities of toxic gases that failed environmental regulations.
As engineers, we knew, it wasn't behaving as per design.
So us not knowing completely the story, because we couldn't know the story, that we're still scratching our heads as we walked away.
Federal criminal prosecutors are looking at this case. So are many states. In fact, Texas just filed suit against Volkswagen yesterday.
These clean diesel cars, which used a nitrogen oxide trap to help capture toxic gases with the goal of passing environmental pollution test, was considered a huge success in the industry, even winning environmental awards and helping Volkswagen get tax breaks.
Our 2009 Green Car of the Year breaks new ground in the field of clean diesels, achieving emission certifications in all 50 states without the use of special additives or extraordinary measures. Importantly, it provides estimated fuel economy of 41 miles per gallon with greatly reduced greenhouse gas emissions. And now, I'm pleased to announce that Green Car Journal's 2009 Green Car of the Year is Volkswagen's 2009 Jetta TDI.
But it was all a bloody lie.
So this cheat, this lie, was born out of an absolute ruthless ambition to be the #1 automaker in the world.
Executed ruthlessly. That's it. It's a huge swindle. It's a huge swindle.
We actually revoked those awards. We rescinded the awards for Volkswagen and Audi, and they agreed that they needed to return them.
In reality, some of Volkswagen's software engineers had secretly added a software device that silently detected when the cars were being tested. During an emission test, the car was programmed to temporarily switch into a lower emission mode, where the car will use less gas and give the engine less power, give off less emissions and be able to pass the emissions test. But as soon as the car was unplugged from the testing computer, it will switch back to normal and the car's exhaust will continue pumping out high levels of nitrogen oxide, which causes air pollution, acid rain, asthma, cancer, and heart-related problems.
So the software was able to detect when the car was in what we call the test cycle. And when it sensed that it was in the test cycle, it would turn on all of the pollution control. So it was a very sophisticated, you might almost think of it as a kind of artificial intelligence inside the car that could tell when it was being tested.
So buried somewhere in this car's computer is this artificial intelligence, programmed to cheat.
Exactly. Since the goal was to pass the test, that's what they engineered the car to do.
Some of Volkswagen cars were actually emitting up to 40 times the amount of toxic gases that the US environmental regulators allowed. This was blatant cheating because the cars had been systematically engineered to deceive emission testing, and yet this meant that for years it went completely unnoticed. Volkswagen was hiding an illegal secret, and once it was discovered, it would launch them into the most public scandal in the company's history.
Stanley Young is with the California Air Resources Board. It's responsible for testing all new cars entering the US market at this high-tech lab in Los Angeles.
Of course, this is where it all happens, where the actual exhaust is measured.
It wasn't until 2014 that some university researchers tested these clean diesel cars on the road and were shocked to see the big difference in their results and that of the EPA. At first, this group of engineers thought the higher emissions must be a mistake, but their discoveries alerted US regulators to review their test results.
Help me explain how the four of you, this small uni research team, has potentially brought a $120 billion company, Volkswagen, to its knees.
We never imagined that it would lead to what it has led to now, so it's a surprise. It's just another project for us.
It was really just, let's go play out and have a little bit of fun on the road.
The VW executive did reveal that another part of the exhaust system beyond the software is also being investigated. A lot of questions still, George.
This was the beginning of a scandal known as the Dieselgate, and when it became clear that Volkswagen was cheating the emission test, the US Environmental Protection Agency forced Volkswagen to recall hundreds of thousands of diesel cars with this system installed on them in the USA. Meanwhile, in Europe, it was discovered that over 8 million cars had this system installed on them as well. US prosecutors described it as an appalling fraud that went to the very top of the Volkswagen Group. And there are claims that at least 30 people at management level had known what was going on for years. And even more shockingly, when this data was first released, instead of trying to fix the problem, Volkswagen instead fixed the device and updated it to become even more accurate at cheating the emissions test.
What the regulators had no idea of was that Volkswagen's new generation car didn't just have a diesel heart, it had a brain. A very duplicitous electronic brain with software programmed to deceive.
This was not just false advertising, it was fraud. Volkswagen had lied to their customers and caused untold damage to the environment and people's health.
They formally admitted to us that, in fact, there was what's known as a defeat device. In other words, the software was turning off the control equipment when it was on the open road.
A defeat device.
That's the technical term for it, and it's expressly prohibited under the Clean Air Act and our laws.
With all these international scandals, Volkswagen was forced to recall 8.5 million cars in Europe, including 2.4 million in Germany, 1.2 million in the UK, and 500,000 in the US. Their market share of that year collapsed like the Fukushima nuclear disaster, falling by about a third since the outbreak of the scandal. In total, Volkswagen had sold around 11 million cars with this device on them, and as a result, they had to pay $25 billion to customers and regulators in the US, almost $3 billion in criminal fines, and nearly $5 billion to mitigate the pollution from all those years. So in total, this scandal cost the Volkswagen Group close to $35 billion, and because of this, Volkswagen reported its first unprofitable quarter in 2015, and their CEO had to step down from his position. Volkswagen also later admitted to gassing live monkeys with diesel fumes as part of a test to prove that their diesel engines were clean.
We all know that we have let down customers, authorities, regulators, and the general public here in America too. We are I am truly sorry for that. And I would like to apologize once again for what went wrong with Volkswagen. Our most important task in 2016 is to win back trust.
They wanted these cars ready to go in the US market, ready to bring to the market generally, and they realized, oh my God, this emissions control technology isn't going to work. And they maybe didn't have time, or they didn't want to spend the money to fix it the right way, and a solution was found.
It was all based on clean diesel, except it wasn't clean diesel.
It was really nasty, dirty diesel.
But however, if you may think that was the end of Volkswagen, think again. Hey guys, before we get to the next part of this video, just imagine craving for some Japanese food outside of Japan, but yet wondering where to get it in Dubai. What you'll be imagining is Ichiryu Ramen House, the home of Japanese food. Inspired and led by a man named Chef Toru, who grew up and studied in Japan. His passion for Japanese food, especially ramen, started more than 35 years ago. As executive chef, he oversees the operations of the restaurant and designs the menu that enhances customers' culinary experience while ensuring the highest quality of food, which has deservedly earned Ichiryu a position as the home of best ramen in the UAE and soon beyond. It is popularly known for its 4 flagship ramen, namely Aka, Shiro, Kuro, and Midori. The most interesting part is that Ichiryu Ramen House is the very first restaurant in the UAE to introduce the Japanese-style bochiseki, or solo dining.
This is the best ramen in all of Dubai, Japanese-style solo dining.
An introvert's heaven on earth style of dining that allow foodies to enjoy their food in a discreet and personalized setting with very minimal interactions.
Bro, I've never done like this before, but honestly, I like it so far. A few minutes later, the sheet opened and they handed me my food without saying a single word. And bro, when I tell you I've never seen such delicious looking ramen in my entire life. I thought I've tried good ramen before. This place absolutely proved me wrong.
Ichiryu Ramen House has designed a menu that tastes so good to a level that every existing and potential customer is always looking forward to eating. Even though my favorite is Aka Paitan Red Ramen, I also enjoy Gyu Teriyaki Don, which is essentially a combination of steamed Japanese rice, thinly sliced beef, special teriyaki sauce, spring onions, and Japanese pickled red ginger, served together with original takoyaki, beef makiro, yuzu tea, mochi trio, and soft ice matcha in Thai cone. Taste some Japanese food today and discover why Ichiryu Ramen House is so confident in their product, backed by a 100% happiness guarantee. And if you use the promo code YOKAN1 for dining or to order online, you will benefit up to 5% discount for every order above 100 dirhams. Click the link in the description below to avail this 5% discount. With all that said and done, let's get back into the video. Despite many predictions that Volkswagen was going to suffer the consequences of this scandal for years or even decades to come, but just a year later, Volkswagen somehow miraculously escaped from all these predicaments and managed to surpass Toyota to become the world's best-selling car conglomerate the very next year. And so you see, despite everything, Volkswagen had managed to rise to the very top of the automobile industry. In fact, on a list of 10 best-selling cars in history, Volkswagen is most likely to own 3 or more of them, despite all the scandals they have been involved in. While the Volkswagen Dieselgate scandal might seem surprising, I personally think that we cannot blame Volkswagen today based on their past atrocities, because after the Second World War, although the name and factory remained the same, the people running the company were completely changed. And if you consider all the brands owned by the Volkswagen Group, there is no doubt they have made plenty of brilliant, iconic cars. And since 2018, the Tiguan has been the best-selling model of not only Volkswagen passenger cars, but also the Volkswagen Group. The new third generation of the best-selling SUV rolled off the assembly line in Wolfsburg in 2023 and came onto the market in the first quarter of 2024. But on the other hand, the emission scandal, along with multiple cases of bribery involving high-level executives, all show that even Volkswagen's recent history is still filled with controversies.
Fahrtvergnügen, so driving enjoyment, right? So Americans who could say kindergarten and beer all of a sudden can say Fahrtvergnügen, you know? Now they probably say Fraudvergnügen.
If you are new to this channel and you think this type of videos are useful to you, please kindly consider subscribing to my YouTube channel and turn on the notifications for you can one. These type of videos take a very long time to make, so please kindly consider supporting my work. I'm working on some even bigger and more exciting documentaries, so if you want to see them when they are ready, just hit the notifications button now and I will love you forever. Don't forget to share after watching to help someone somewhere. If you are still here, I want to say thank you for your time. I really do appreciate it. See you in the next edition. Until then, bye bye for now.